guys, it's Sandy. Welcome to my channel. I have homemade Christmas gifts to share with you today. These are gifts that people are actually going to want because they taste so good. So these are gifts you're going to make in your kitchen. I'm going to show you how to make a maple nut granola, a chocolate covered peanuts and pretzels, and a homemade salsa, which is delicious, that you can gift with a bag of tortilla chips. Everybody loves it. So these are really great gifts. They come from the heart, but they also taste delicious, and people want to get these as gifts. So you might hear a little bit of squealing while this is going on because our mudroom is right beside of our kitchen, and we just had a whole litter of puppies last week. So I'm going to show them to you because they are so adorable, but they're also a little noisy. So anyway, let's get to this. You're going to love this. First, we're going to make the chocolate covered peanuts and pretzels. So I need to make a double boiler because I don't have one. And I just take some water, put it into a pan, just a little bit of water, and put a bowl on top. And that is going to steam the chocolate. Now, what you're going to need is almond bark. I'm using chocolate almond bark, so I want chocolate covered. And then you're going to need 2 jars of peanuts. I want the salted kind because I like the salt with the chocolate, the sweet and savory together. You could also do chocolate covered almonds. I've done many times. And then these are the pretzels that I'm going to use. Then you're going to need 1 bag of some kind of chocolate. You could use semi-sweet, you could use dark, you could use a different kind of semi-sweet, you could use milk chocolate. These are just different chocolate bags that I have. And then of the almond bark, you're only going to use half of that. So here you go. You need 1 bag of some kind of chocolate, almond bark, and 2 jars of peanuts. And then these are your optional items. The almond bark is 24 ounces and we only need half of that. So I'm going to cut it in half, save the other part for another time. So 12 ounces of almond bark is how much you need. And then I just need to cut these squares. Part of them are already cut, so it's easier to cut. But whenever it's smaller, then it melts quicker. So I cut this and then I cut the little squares again, just to make it a little bit smaller. Now put it into the bowl. The bowl's already getting hot from the boiling water underneath. And I'm just going to melt this first. These are the bigger chunks, so I wanted to melt this before I put the small chocolate in. So just keep moving it around because you do not want it to sit there and burn. So you just move it around every few minutes to make sure that it's all getting melted. So once it's melted a little bit more, then we're ready to put in our other chocolate. I use these silicone mats for like everything, for baking, for this right here, for cold items, hot items. I love them. Now I'm going to do a mixture here. So I'm doing milk chocolate and the dark chocolate together, but we only need 1 bag total. So I'm going to put my hand here and hold the other in and put about half of this bag in of the dark chocolate, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing for the milk chocolate. And then once you have your smaller morsels in there, then you just want to start melting it by putting it down into that hot chocolate that's already there. Now that pan started getting hot, so I needed to put on a glove so I could hold on to that since I'm using a metal pan, and then just keep stirring it around so it doesn't get burnt. And then you're going to have this hot melted chocolate. You can see a few little chunks in there, so I need to melt it just a little bit longer, but it's almost perfect. Look at the different colors too, because I use the milk chocolate and the dark chocolate. I am using these silicone mats on top of cookie sheets. I'm using 2 of them for the different things I'm making, but I'm telling you, if you guys do not have these, you need to get yourself some silicone mats. You can see mine are used often. I use them in the oven, I use them in the freezer. You can use them for everything. And then I don't have to buy parchment paper. So all I'm doing is starting with the chocolate pretzels and just dabbing them and getting those covered. I just want to leave a place where I can still hold on to them so that they don't get chocolate on my whole hand also. And you guys, listen, if you don't have a silicone mat, you can use wax paper or you can use parchment paper for this kind also. But I got mine on Amazon. I'll put the link below. They are worth buying. Okay, so we're just going to do pretzels first. And now with the chocolate that's left over, let's make the peanuts. Now, you're going to need 2 full things of peanuts if you don't use any of the chocolate for pretzels. But since I did, then I want to do them a little bit at a time. So I'm putting in 1 jar first, and I want to get it all covered with the chocolate. You can see there is a lot of chocolate here, so I'm just going to keep on adding more peanuts a little bit at a time. I used almost the full 2 jars, and when it's all covered, then I want to put it out onto the cookie sheet, the covered cookie sheet. Make sure it's covered or you guys are going to have a mess to clean up. I'm just going to take my spatula and press it all out into a thin layer, and then I'm going to put this along with the pretzels into the freezer. Now you can see that the pretzels have already started setting up as far as the chocolate. They're going to set up totally whenever I put this into the freezer for about 20 minutes. I'm just going to take it out and put it into my deep freeze, and then I will be back to get it whenever it's done. So now let's make the maple nut granola. So you're going to need oats, canola oil, maple syrup, cinnamon, vanilla, salt, brown sugar, different kinds of nuts, and then some dried fruit of some kind to put on at the very end, or you could even add chocolate chips if you want that, but I'm using dried fruit. Okay, so we're going to start with 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So we need 1/3 cup of brown sugar, which I already measured out, and we need 1/3 cup of maple syrup. I use a pure maple syrup. This is not pancake syrup. This is maple syrup. And there is a difference. Make sure that you buy the 100% pure maple syrup. 1/3 cup of that. And now I need 1/3 cup of canola oil. And then we're going to whisk that together. Okay, that just becomes thick once you whisk that together. And let me see what I do next. 4 teaspoons of vanilla. So did you know the cap is actually a teaspoon? So I don't have to get out a teaspoon. I can just measure it right here. So 4 teaspoons. 3 and 4. And mix that in. And before I forget, I need to set the oven to 325 degrees. 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 5 cups of old-fashioned oats. Now, these aren't the quick cooking oats, so make sure that you're buying the right oats and get the old-fashioned oats, these right here. We're going to do 5 of these. This recipe comes together very quickly. So as I use my ingredients, I just set them over here on the side, and then we're going to add some cinnamon. You could also add some pumpkin pie spice if you wanted to put a different flavor in here, but I'm just going to use the cinnamon for now. And I really like cinnamon, so I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of cinnamon in here. And then just start stirring this together. I really don't like the whisk for that. I just got out a big fork and I'm just going to use that to stir this all together. Once we have this all stirred together, we're going to add our nuts. And we're just going to use 2 cups of nuts. So 2 cups of whatever kind of nuts that you like. I'm going to use some cashews that I have, some almonds, and some walnuts. I started to hear a lot of squeaking noises from the mudroom, so I went in to check on the puppies, and they're just all in there trying to get a place to eat. Since there's 10 puppies, they cannot all eat at once, but they're all hungry at once. Just cute little puppies. So let me cut up our nuts into bite-sized pieces. We need 2 cups total of any kind of nuts that you want. So the walnuts are already chopped, but I do want to chop up the cashews and the almonds and make them into smaller pieces. if you'll stop for just a minute and hit that like button below and comment, let me know what kind of things that you like to put into your granola, how you like to make it different than what I make it. Also, you guys, whenever you comment, then YouTube really likes it and shows my video to other people, so that really helps me and I super appreciate it. Okay, so now I'm just going to start filling up my 1 cup and spilling it everywhere. So I'm going to put about 3/4 of a cup of chopped almonds in first, and then I'm going to put all the rest of my nuts in here and then throw that in the bowl and fill up the other cup and put it in the bowl also. Now you're going to mix the nuts into the oat mixture, and then we're going to put it onto the cookie sheet. Now again, I'm using this silicone mat because I literally use it for everything. Now I'm going to use it for baking this time. You'll need to use parchment paper or something. If you just put this on your cookie sheet, you are going to have a mess to clean up. So use something. Now just spread it out into a thin layer, and then you need to press it down good. The pressing will compact it together so that it cooks easily, more evenly, but also it'll break up into chunks better. So just press it all down and then put it in the oven at 325 degrees, and we're going to cook this for 30 minutes. I took the chocolate covered peanuts out of the freezer and they just break apart really easily. They come right off of the silicone mat, and so do the chocolate covered pretzels. So just break these apart. I just pulled the thing off all at once. Whether you're using the silicone mats or the parchment paper, it'll do this for you once it's frozen. And then just break them up into pieces. You can do big pieces, small pieces, whatever you want to do to make this as a gift for yourself or for somebody else. A gift for yourself. Anyway, I store mine in a freezer bag in the freezer. And then as far as eating them, this is how we prefer it, is from the refrigerator. Whenever they're sitting on the counter, they are okay, but they do get a little bit chocolate on your hands. So now I got the granola out of the oven. You can see it's just starting to get a little bit brown. If yours is getting more brown than that, then it's cooking too long. So 30 minutes is perfect for my oven. Now it has to sit here and cool for at least an hour. So now it's cool, and I can literally just break this up by lifting up on this silicone mat since nothing sticks to it. So what I'm going to do is just break it apart and then add some dried cranberries. You could add raisins, cranberries, dried cherries, whatever you like. We like these, so this is what I'm going to add. You could also wait till it's completely cool and add some kind of chocolate chips if that's what you want. It's whatever is to your taste, but just make sure that it's completely cool before you do any of that. If you add chocolate, it would melt it, so you don't want that. So anyway, I'm going to break this up and stick it into jars now and show you how pretty it is. This is such a nice gift. First of all, it's delicious, and it just makes a really pretty gift too. So a great homemade gift to give somebody. So let's get started on the salsa. You're going to love this salsa. It is such a good recipe. So you're going to need 4 cans of tomatoes with the diced green chilies in it. Rotel, this is just the Kroger brand, which is just our store brand. So listen, if you want to make this a little more mild, just use 3 cans of the green chilies and use 1 can of just regular diced tomatoes. So we're going to need half of an onion and just dice it up a little bit. I'm going to use my food processor for this. You could use Vitamix, you could use a NutriBullet, you could just chop it all by hand, although that'd be a lot of chopping. So just chop up this onion a little bit to go in. And now you need 1 fresh jalapeno, seeded. Make sure and take the seeds out unless you like it super hot and leave the seeds in. So I'm going to use 1, but if you do not like it really spicy, then only use half of a jalapeno, because the jalapenos are hot. So it's going to make it, you know, a little spicy. I like to have a little spice in mine, so I'm going to use 1 whole jalapeno, but maybe start with a half and see if you want any more. Just put this into your food processor. You've already chopped it up a little bit, so it's not as hard for this food processor to chop it. You don't want to keep it whole. And then I'm going to add the cilantro also. You need a half of a bunch of the fresh cilantro. So I'm just literally taking it in half right here. And then chop it up a little bit also, just because, again, it makes it easier whenever it goes into your food processor, your Vitamix, whatever you're using. To have it a little bit chopped, it doesn't take as long to chop it all up.
So just for measurement's sake, just for people who are wondering how much cilantro I actually use, I put it in a half a cup and put that in, and then I just had a little tiny bit of a handful left over to throw in. So if you're trying to actually measure it out, which I never do, that's how much cilantro that you're going to use. And now just put it in your food processor and hit it a few times so that you can get it, actually put the lid on correctly, and then hit a few times the pulse button and get it chopped up. And then to this, you're going to add a half a teaspoon of garlic powder and a half a teaspoon of salt. And then you need a half of a fresh lime. I prefer fresh lime. Now, if you don't, you can use the lime concentrate, but I just think that it has so much more taste when it's fresh. So a half of a lime is equal to about a tablespoon of lime juice, not quite a tablespoon, but close. And then you're just going to add in your drained tomatoes. You have to drain them or you're going to have way too much juice if not. And then you're just going to pulse this together. I just want to get the stuff off of the sides and then I'm going to repulse it again, but just kind of move it around so that you're getting everything cut up evenly. Now listen, this is where you decide how much you want to do this because you might like chunky salsa or you might like salsa that is a lot more smooth. So you can just do the pulsing as much as you want, or whether you're using your NutriBullet, Vitamix, whatever, you do it to the consistency that you like. I like it like this, as far as this consistency, and I guess whoever I give it to as a gift is going to get it the way I like it. Anyway, just look how pretty this is. It's really a pretty gift, but it's also delicious because you have so many fresh flavors in there. Now see, whenever it sits for a while, it can get watery. If it does, then you can just put it back in the colander again and just get the water off, or just spoon it out, or it's fine the way it is. Just whatever, you get to do this however you want to do it. A great way to give this gift is just by putting this into a jar, also giving a bag of tortilla chips right along with it. You could put this in some kind of Christmas bag, make it festive and pretty looking. It is a great homemade gift. So now you have the granola, you also have chocolate covered peanuts or chocolate covered pretzels, and then a delicious homemade salsa along with a bag of chips. And Merry Christmas to you all!